Hi, everyone. This is Jeff from that'sgoodenoughforme.com, and this is the very first inaugural debut episode of our new podcast, Almost Punk Enough. I am the founder and head editor of the site, and with me today is our contributor, all around, does a lot of things, Mike. Say hi, Mike.
Hey,
Hey,
and
how you doing?
it's Lagwagon Day.
It is Slagwagon Day. Which is kind of it's kind of tough because on the website I insist, and some people just ignore me, that we do all dates like international style. So it's like day, month, year. So 16 May just doesn't have the same ring to it elsewhere.
Yeah,
You
no
know,
that
like
that just fucked up the like Tony Hawk reboot for me because it came out. The Tony Hawk 3 and 4 is getting
hmm
rebooted this summer, and they announced it on March 4th for like 3 and 4, and then I
yeah,
saw an advertisement for it on a bus in Europe and was like, this doesn't make any sense.
yeah, I know. I wonder if like the international versions of Let's Talk About Feelings, they changed it to 16 May. Because he
Maybe.
never mentions the date in the song. You never, it's not like you're missing out on anything.
Yeah, and if you're just tuning in, I Google searched. I'd never thought about this before, the significance of that date. Because I thought, oh, is that when Jerry Garcia died? And I said, no, that's a NoFX song.
Yeah, and they got the date wrong there anyways.
Yeah, no, in this case, it just happens to be a date that Joey was very hungover, and someone that he had lost touch with was getting married.
hmm
And I think he was thinking about how much different his life is than that person. So,
Yeah. But so what I thought I had heard was like he had lost touch, but like definitely he was on the out and outs with the fiance and was not allowed to come to the wedding, but he was close enough they could hear the excitement.
oh, that's tragic.
I don't know I don't know the veracity of that. That could be I don't know. Maybe. Still, it's like one of their, even beforehand, it was one of their popular songs just because it's such a good song and a great album. But I think Tony Hawk really kind of pushed that envelope a little further.
We're
So
going to keep going back to Tony Hawk. And for those
yeah.
of you that might know the actual truth behind the May 16th song by Lagwagon, you can call our hotline at 609-937 redacted. I'm not really going to give you Jeff's number. His wife would fucking murder him.
There you go. And you.
And me. Oh, yeah, and me.
She will come to Lincoln, Nebraska, and
Perfect.
so yeah. So hey, we are here for our first podcast today, and we've got a lot of things lined up for you. In a bit, we'll be getting together with editor Ed, as I like to call him, but you may know him as Bad Dad on the site. And we're going to talk a little bit about Brouhaha Productions. They're the people who put on at least the USA version of Punk and Drublic Festival. They also put on Punk in the Park and its ever-growing range of little cities that it's heading out to, and how the founder has been revealed to have at least made one, if not more, donations to right-wing campaigns and the Donald Trump campaign in 2024. And after that, we'll break away to the my interview with Clover Nahabedian of Cheap City. I've known her for about 7 years now, ever since I moved back to the States in 2018 or shortly thereafter. And her band is having their potentially final album, Cheap City Forever, which is out today. The interview was recorded earlier this week, and we thought the podcast would be out before this, so we'll be talking about Friday as if it's the future, but you'll be hearing it on Friday. For now, what I'd like to do is step over for a moment and talk about some recent news we've had on the website itself. These are some neat stories, features we've got. The first one is contributor Jason Zero reviewed the Undead's new-ish album, Act Your Rage Again. It's a newish because it is a re-recording of their 1989 album, Act Your Rage. If you don't know who the Undead are, it's Bobby Steele, former Misfits guitarist, and his little coterie of buddies. But for the re-recording, it brought in a lot of guest musicians So it's a pretty cool thing. And it sounds better, but it still sounds old. Like they didn't really amp the production up too much, I think.
Good. And
Yeah.
I think this usually means that the people that should be receiving the 11 cents a decade royalties from Spotify will be getting them instead of whoever else started picking it up along the way
I know
20 years
exactly.
ago.
That's true. That's true. Um, we've still got our ongoing series of interviews by Bad Dad, which are for the Midwest Friends Fest coming up. He's got a couple dozen in already, and this week we've had Life in Idle, Ghost Town Remedy, Super City, and many, many more. So these are great little reads, and good to see what the bands that are going to be participating in Midwest Friends Fest have to say. We've also, this is one that kind of came across my radar, and I made sure to put it on the site. And I don't know if Mike's heard of this one. So there's this thrash band out of Delaware called World of Chaos, and they released their debut EP, Erased from Existence. Now, I don't know how much of a thrash guy you are.
I mean, I'll say this. I like hardcore. I like thrash. I feel like the East Coast just has a good read on it. Maybe their lives are like a lot more stressful than mine.
That's true. Now, Delaware is like a haven for businesses, so it's like if there's any place that corporate life would stress you out. Uh, but the thing is, these musicians, they're aged 13 to 16.
Oh, damn.
And yeah, and I will say it's maybe it's not the best thrash I've heard, but even before I knew their ages, it's pretty damn good. And it's a lot of fun. Their hearts are in it. And then when you add in their ages, I mean, the sky's the limit for these guys. It's a world of chaos. Maybe they're like the Linda Lindas of thrash.
Nice. I will check that out for sure.
Last one, before we move on to our discussion about brouhaha, uh, today, or maybe even yesterday, my time frame is all messed up. Uh, Hard Chiller released a new single from their upcoming album, Baby. Literally, the album is all capitals with an exclamation point at the end, Baby. And this is a follow-up to their kind of debut EP last year. Uh, Hard Chiller is made up of members of RX Bandits and Indian Lakes and more. And the new song Hot Box Head, all one word, is really good. It's reminiscent of that kind of 90s alt rocky shoegaze kind of style. Think like Smashing Pumpkins before they got big. Hum, maybe. And but what's interesting about it is they put out a music video for the song, and uh, a lot of bands lately have been putting out videos with cats in them. One of them from Papa Gandhi,
Cat
Mike's name,
guy.
Cat Guy. Yep, Cat Guy. And then also, I know recently, I believe we had Dirty Talons put out You Make Everything All Right, and it's got cats in it again. So I think this is a thing that's happening. And I put in the write-up about this video. I mentioned that you got to do something new, you got to do something fresh, right? And so the video for Hard Chiller's Hotbox Head features scenes from the 1997 film, disaster film, Dante's Peak, intercut with kittens at play.
Fantastic.
Yes, like there'll be a pyroclastic cloud just incinerating people and destroying a town, and then for no reason and not really timed with the music very well, it just cuts to a bunch of kittens. Uh, and it's surprisingly engrossing to watch. It's a good song, so it's not like you would really turn away anyway, but it's funny. It really made my day. So all of these stories and more can be found over at the main website. That's goodenoughforme.com. And now let's bring in Ed so we can talk about this whole brouhaha.
One thing that has been cropping up a bit in the social world of threads and Facebooks and things like that, and the Reddits, was some information that was gleaned from the website opensecrets.org, which tracks donations from individuals and corporations to political causes, charity causes, and things like that. This popped up in about a month and a half ago that it came out that Cameron Collins, the guy who essentially, I guess, is the founder and creator of Brouhaha Productions, has previously last year given to the Donald Trump for President campaign. Now, some people may not recognize Brouhaha Productions, but they are the people who basically put on the entirety of the Punk and Drublic festivals, at least here in the United States. They do the Punk in the Park Festival, which is now expanding across the country and nationwide. And this has obviously caused some consternation in the punk community. And this came back up to light again, because I saw on the first that Dillinger 4 actually posted on their social media, basically questioning, so what's up with this? And they shared a screenshot, which I have not been able to replicate, that shows multiple donations from Cameron Collins of Brouhaha Productions. The name of the company is actually listed, to multiple kind of right-wing and conservative organizations, including Donald Trump and other organizations to elect Republicans and right-leaning people. And so once again, that triggered a firestorm of questions and people talking about that. And I was just kind of curious if, when you guys kind of thought about this, should we be caring that the guy who kind of founded this organization that does multiple festivals involving beer kind of is donated to Trump? And is it a big deal?
Ed, you want to take this first?
So I really just found out about it today. Jeff kind of gave me a minor heads up, but I didn't get to go much into detail. What the guy donates to, it doesn't matter as far as I'm concerned. He can put on his festivals and donate wherever he wants. The bands that are on the festival, though, I feel like they have more of a responsibility to their listeners, especially the ones, no effects, the ones that are outspoken as it is, to do something about it, whether it's admit that they're a party to this or that they didn't know about it and to step away from it, but to just continue doing it and act like nothing has happened and to make no statements about it as of yet. It just seems, kind of dirty about them.
Yeah.
I agree. I would say this though, because I've heard this a million times before. When some big person donates to something really shitty, all I ever hear is like, well, how do you know they're not giving to both sides? Because that used to be a big promotion of donating to political campaigns. So I'm giving to everybody. I want to give them some of my money to give them the funds necessary to speak their mind, which in this case is like mindless, racist, homophobic bullshit. But I'd be interested, the list that I saw of campaigns that were donated to from this individual, is that it? Or is that just the list of people that he donated to that we want to know about because they're, bad campaigns?
Well, so that's an incredibly good question. As I said, the screenshot that Dillinger 4 shared has a lot more donations and organizations than I'm able to find on the OpenSecrets.org website. Now, granted, I don't know much about OpenSecrets.org. I've only been able to locate one confirmed donation, and that did go to the Donald Trump campaign. And if he's, I would think that if he's donating to multiple avenues, that they would show up as well, at least for me. So that's the question. I don't know whether or not this screenshot is doctored. It's the first time I ever saw it. And I did reach out to Brouhaha Productions publicist for a comment, and they have not responded or acknowledged my query yet. So we'll have to wait on that part. But
okay.
All I can confirm is that there is at least one confirmed donation to Donald Trump. There's possibly more to other organizations like WinRed, which is like an Act Blue, but for conservative side of the spectrum. Um, yeah. So, good
So
question.
around the time that Donald Trump became the nominee the first time, and going into the pandemic, living in Lincoln, Nebraska, where I'm at, and playing in a band, supporting local businesses, political affiliation became incredibly popular here on both sides. So during the pandemic, for example, I had some beer delivered from a local brewery that has since become like very openly transphobic. And so I, tossed my growler and just stopped shopping there. But before the pandemic started, they were just a local brewery, and that was it. I didn't even think to say, okay, well, who did you vote for? And a lot of people will argue on both sides of the aisle, like, why is that important to you, how this brewery chose to vote in an election? But since then, of course, a lot of the bars and venues had different stories passed around about the owners and their political affiliations, the types of maybe shit-headed Republican congressmen that might regular their bar. And unfortunately, a lot of my conclusion was, it's almost like most straight white adult men that own businesses are kind of shitty. Like money grubbing business owner, like jet ski riding dudes. And
The kind of guy who puts the Oakleys backwards on his hat.
exactly. And so if I'm like, as a musician and a beer drinker, or everywhere else, someone that likes local food, like if I'm gonna make that personal politic to like exit any business that doesn't vote in my direction, which I try to do in some cases, but if I did it to every venue in Lincoln, would I have a stage to play at?
Mm-hmm.
And do I want to know the answer to that?
Yeah. Like an ignorance is bliss kind of thing, maybe.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. So I think what Ed said, it kind of tracks. I mean, I'm not really one for outdoor festivals and big festivals like that anyway, so I don't feel like I'm really missing out that much. Um, but yeah, like I think I think enough eyes have gotten on this, that a lot of people are saying, well, the bands have, they should at least say something. They should acknowledge, or else they're basically just admitting that they would rather play a giant festival and take a nice paycheck and move on without saying anything. And at least you can be like, well, yeah, this guy's donated some money, but I want to play a big festival and get my music out there. At least they're saying it. And a lot of people would probably be fine with that. There's obviously going to be some people in some groups that, rightfully so for their personal politics, would just be like, nope. And maybe I should stop supporting these bands because I know they're not saying anything. And yeah, that's, in the grand scheme of things, there's not really much we can do, but other than making our own decisions. It's like that, the whole sticker mule thing. Do you remember that when that went down?
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
like my art side of things, man, I was using sticker mule left and right. And then that guy just basically came out, tried to gaslight everyone about how MAGA are just these nice people, peaceful, loving people. And he lost like a fourth of his social media followers. And he dug his heels in. He like basically started showing himself to kind of be like the macho asshole that MAGA people are like. And, it's like, for them, it's like liberating in a way. So I don't know. I mean, it's just funny because this brouhaha thing, like it popped up about a month and a half ago, maybe on Reddit. And then it's just occasionally someone will grab onto it and it'll pop up on social media again. And this last time it was Dillinger 4, which to my knowledge is like the largest name so far to really kind of say anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're playing in any brouhaha festivals, so I guess they don't really care.
Well, and again, we're talking about like a different time in American political history. but I watched Bad Religion play a killer set at multiple Warped Tours and speak the Bad Religion agenda on a stage where they were selling waters for like $22 and like and so at what point is it Bad Religion's fault, or at what point is this band that of heroes like not doing enough for me as a consumer when I am obviously a fan there to watch them perform? It's a difficult argument to find yourself in.
But they also did it completely differently. If they were up there speaking about, just like Green Day played Coachella. Coachella is notorious for giving to right wing organizations. But when Green Day played it, they did their change American Idiot lyrics to be anti-MAGA. They changed Jesus of Suburbia to be anti whatever it was, Elon Musk or however it was. They made their statement while they were on that stage. So they collected their payday, but they didn't really compromise who they were while they were there. And there is a chance that Fat Mike gets up there and says all the things that are anti-Trump and does it with conviction and means it. But there's also a chance that he does the Fat Mike thing of, whatever it is to get the crowd going. And that's where I'm at for today.
Oh, dude. Yeah. This is completely off subject, but do you remember the guy that made the Fat Mike parody videos like last summer, where he was just walking around San Francisco, videotaping a building and singing in a Fat Mike voice and making up songs?
Yeah.
Like, how do we get that guy signed to like Alternative Tentacles or something to just like put out that?
Yeah, like get the whatever they call the rights to the songs. We'll do covers.
If you're listening, if you're listening, weird Fat Mike impersonator guy that's gone back to other memes probably now. But we do live in a time now, and I say this a lot. I say this when people say, I can't believe that people are unfriending me because who I voted for president, and liberals are obviously a lot meaner than they come off to be if they're going to unfriend me and my grandma because of who we voted for. And it's when we kind of say like, look, dude, this isn't just like, oh, I don't agree with Mitt Romney's policies on this, so I think you're kind of an idiot for voting for him. We've kind of reached this point now where, my transgender friends would be disappointed in me if I was just going to sit idly by while someone continued to give money to a person that's going to say this on television repeatedly and vote for these policies. So it is a slippery slope that we found ourselves in. And perhaps this owner has been doing this the whole time and putting on perfectly good shows, but just hasn't understood how terribly effective the right-wing donation has gone towards this side of hate and disinformation.
Yeah. It's funny that like this kind of came out again, and a lot of people were remarking, they're like, oh, the one we can see, it's $225. That's like a drop in the bucket. And now, like the news came out today, like, oh yeah, they, $225, a 747 from Cotter, it's like Trump doesn't care about $225 when a sovereign nation is giving him a plane, It's just like.
But that's also it. Trump doesn't care about $225. What's the point in giving it to him unless you're really behind it?
Precisely.
You're getting something out of Elon Musk's $200 billion is getting him something.
Yes.
This guy's $225. He's doing it because it's what he believes in.
Yeah.
Ostensibly, at least.
When we had, I think it was Paul Ryan, when Paul Ryan was nominated for VP a couple of elections ago, and he was talking about how Rage Against the Machine was his favorite band, and people were like, dude, it's the same thing. There's a family in our neighborhood that they brought their Trump sign out real late in the game, and it was a Trump Pence sign, and it was big. It was bigger than any like Billy's graduation party banner you would ever see in somebody's yard. And so obviously we left him alone, but it was just like, wow, you couldn't even get the new sign. Like you have the retro sign with the guy that they tried to hang. Like, so like we're constantly seeing these voters and donors shooting themselves in their own dick anyways. So it would make sense that the creator of this festival would have no thought as to how silly those donations would look stacked against a lineup. Like
Yeah.
No Effects, Dillinger 4, etc.
So that's, in that same vein, man, we should do something sometime or other about like all the kind of like goofy libertarian or right wing bands that have cropped up out of all this thing, like Dickie Barrett, and getting Boston's collapsing and Dickie Barrett forming the Defiant, which is like basically like an anti-vaxxers anonymous group.
Yeah. The measle boss tones.
Yeah. We better watch out when we say Dickie Barrett's gonna come get us.
Yeah. No, but that's the thing. That's when I say we're at a different time now. We're also at a time that like this type of idea like washes people away from us forever. And I've read about the whole Dickie Barrett thing, and apparently he moved to like his family moved to like a newer neighborhood and like kind of a ritzy part of town and like maybe a little gated community, and a lot of people there were into like Scientology or like weird like anti-vax shit, and at some point it just washed him away, and his bandmates that he had known for decades like saw their friend just like disappear before their eyes, and that's where we're at now.
Wow. Very poignant.
Mm-hmm. So that's the impression that I get.
I was really waiting to see which one of you guys could shoehorn that one in.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like that's. I think I was done listening to Boss Tones by the time that album came out.
Well, not all of us can be 50.
This is true.
But
this is true, God.
But no, I mean, I'm sure the three of us are like active enough on social media to have seen the latest effort from that like right-wing bunghole that tries to reunite his version of the Misfits every once in a while. Like,
Yeah.
and he, at least as far as like band dude Facebook goes, I saw this huge push to cancel pretty much every show he had on a tour, and people were contacting the venues, and some of the venues were saying, fuck you, don't come to this if you don't like it. Like, that's super lame. And most people were like, I mean, I was kind of like, it'd be lame if that guy didn't have any political affiliation, in my opinion. Like, and he was still trying to do this. Like, that's kind of embarrassing in its own right. But it happens, and we see it come and go, and it's pretty easy to press the button on your own and just be like, all right, well, fuck that guy. Or, obviously, like, if I hear a Boss Tones classic, I might listen to it with fondness and say, remember when he hadn't gone insane in the membrane yet?
That was worth the days.
Yeah, I don't think I have an answer for you, Jeff.
No, that's okay. That doesn't need to be an answer.
But since you brought up McHale Graves, it would be really nice if Brendan Kelly could revisit the interview he did for The Daily Show back in the late 90s, where it was him and Graves against one another. Well before Lawrence Arms were, I don't even think that they were on Fat at the time. I think they were still just Chicago. But that was one of the best takedowns from that era that I think has ever happened.
Well, and that's what was really funny is that guy was representing, again, at that time, that guy was representing like Mitt Romney Republican Party.
Yeah.
Where it was like we're scared of black and gay people. But other than that, we just don't want that much to change, and we're good old conservative folks. That was before they were given like a poo colored keyboard and said, all right, go on Facebook and voice all of the most terrible thoughts you've ever had all the time.
So are we saying there isn't a place for conservative punk?
There's a place for it. I just don't want to be in that place.
Yeah. Or it's like, no, it's like Joey from the Vandals, it's like this thing that I always heard about but never Wikipedia'd because I don't want to not like the Vandals. So and he's like kept his mouth shut about it enough that it's just not ever been a dilemma that I've had to have internally.
Yeah, no, that's Yeah, but that's like what is it? That whole Orange County thing, isn't that like a common occurrence? Like when you come out of that region, like you end up lean a little bit more right, anyways. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm new to California, and I'm like a couple hundred miles north of there, so I don't
I mean,
know.
my father-in-law is no longer with us. He was a good guy, but he immigrated here from another country, and I I like to think that when he came here and was establishing himself, that at some point some really cool macho dude, probably with Oakleys like on the back of his head, even in the 80s or 70s or whenever this was, but like at some point somebody said, "Hey, you're coming here to make the most money you possibly can. Just a life hack: make sure you always vote Republican, or that money's going to get taken away from you and go to somebody else." And that used to kind of be like conservatism for dummies, right? It was like, oh, I don't want to share my money with anybody. It's not that I'm a jerk, but that used to be kind of the idea of coming from money or coming into a lot of money. It was like, oh, now I need to vote this way so I don't share my money with anybody. And not like, oh, I need to vote this way because I really want people that aren't white to be hung on crosses outside of their houses.
Wow.
That's just like I'm just spitballing. That's just like an example.
Right. Right.
Next, we are going to my interview with Clover Nahabedian of Cheap City regarding their new album, Cheap City Forever, out today and possibly their last. Hi, everyone. This is Jeff, the head editor and founder of That'sGoodEnoughForMe.com, and I am here today with Clover from Cheap City, and I've known Clover, met once, and then we've known each other through the social medias since 2018. And I'm admitting today that I don't know how to pronounce her last name, so I'm gonna I'm gonna try, and I'm gonna make a guess that
Okay.
the NAHA in the beginning are kind of like a single syllable. So I'm gonna say something like Nahabedian.
Okay.
Okay.
That's wrong. Uh, but I think that was a very smart interpretation.
Okay.
So here's the thing that I have kind of watched people do my whole life. They see all the letters and they panic, but it's actually extremely phonetic.
So it is. It's not like Nahabedian.
Yeah,
Nah,
it's Bedian, so it's
Bedian.
Nahabi.
Bedian. Okay,
The,
Nahabedian.
the
Okay.
the BED is the only part that like isn't exactly what it looks like.
Right, right. See, so in my mind I was close, and then I tried to get all clever with it, and I totally fucked up. I just like face planted right there.
Yeah, we call that the Armenians' revenge.
And it's funny because my last name is it's easy to pronounce, but even people who've read it and pronounced it, so Sorley, Sorley, even people who've read it and then pronounced it, the next time they go to write it, they spell it Sorely. Like it just in their head, they're
Oh,
like,
sure.
sorely, he must be feeling sorely or something. I don't know. It's just very, very sad and depressing. Um, so yes, we have you here today because it's kind of like a landmark. There's an event coming up this Friday. Is the release of Cheap City's new album, Cheap City Forever. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the last one.
It's probably the last one.
Ooh.
So what what happened is I decided that I wanted to move.
Mm.
And we kind of came to the conclusion that we should treat the period of time before I move as if the band is 100% breaking up.
Okay.
Um, we have talked about the possibility of recording from different. I mean, after I move, I'm staying in the country, but somebody else in our band is moving out of the country, so we will be across two countries and like four time zones.
Oh yeah.
So we have talked about the possibility of recording remotely. I don't know if that's actually going to happen.
Mhm.
Um, so we are calling this the final album, but who knows? In 2 or 3 years, we might pop back up with a new one. But certainly this is the end of Cheap City being like a regular touring, like functioning unit.
Okay, yeah. So like basically you're gonna say this is like the breakup, and then in like 3 or 4 years when Riot Fest comes to you and like throws like a several million for the band to get back together, you'd be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, which has been the master plan.
Yeah, exactly. Well, everyone's got a plan ahead, and so well, that's it's I can understand that reasoning, and it sounds it like I didn't really catch a vibe from like your social media that like things had gone south. Like the videos for the new album and everything just look really great,
Yeah,
and I kind of figured there had to be something more like, well, this is kind of it's being forced upon us kind of thing, and yeah, it kind of sounds like that. It's you got someone moving abroad, which is probably a good idea.
yeah, yeah, for real.
Um, so tell us a little bit about the album. You've got two singles out now. The "Raised by Rats." Was that the announcement single with the
Mhm.
video?
Yep.
And then you had "Strawberry Morphine Ice Cream," and morphine is in parenthetical there. So tell us a little bit more about the album, because I think right now we have these two songs. Is there anything thematic about it overall, or because I know you do a lot of projects like that. You do a lot of
Yeah.
projects like these
Um,
big overarching themes, and
yeah, I mean, this was so like at its heart, like it's a breakup album that is like about like, the end of a recent romantic relationship for me. Um, but is also like about like the band breaking up. Um, so those two things are like kind of wrapped up in each other. And while I was writing the lyrics, I at some point decided like I wanted this to feel like a sequel to our last album, Blue Dancers. Um, but then as a kind of continuing to write, I felt like, oh well, this also has a lot in common with our third full length, which is called 10 Years Without Rami Holding. Um, so there's references to both, like explicit references, like there are like musical and lyrical quotes.
mhm.
Um, and then I also kind of have been thinking about like how do we like wrap this up. So I came up with this idea that if you listen to every Cheap City release in chronological order, um, it like all kind of ties together. So the first song on our first record is called Wetwood, and um, it's like about this person who is like trying to not go to sleep because like they only have nightmares.
Okay.
And the rest of that record is like explicitly like a dream they're having. Um, and what I've decided is that everything after that first song, so all the other albums, all the singles are part of this person's like fever dream.
Okay. Good.
The last lyric of the second to last song on Cheap City Forever is "And then I woke up." So I'm treating the first song on our first record and the last song on our last record as like kind of like waking dreams, and everything in between is like this dream of like a fictional place.
So it's like a kind of like the like Newhart, the show.
I haven't seen that. I
Oh,
don't know if it is.
so it was one of Bob Newhart's like many sitcoms, and it's the goofiest one. And at the end, the very last scene, like he wakes up in bed with his wife from a previous sitcom he was on, and he
Oh,
says, "I
okay,
just
yeah,
had the weirdest dream," kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But like the Newhart show was like really, really like I think it's just Newhart. That was the one that was like really out there, like had a really goofy stuff going on. So yeah,
Okay,
no, okay. So it's like so it's also part of an overarching storyline. Now you say that's the second to the last song, and then the last song, according to the track listing, is then the title track "Cheap City Forever."
yeah.
Okay, and I'm curious how that's going to end up. I won't. I don't know yet, but I'm
I mean, I
excited to
should have
find out.
just sent you the album before we did this.
Oh, that's to be fair, it's just been so much going on. I haven't listened to a full album in like a month. I feel so
Yeah,
badly.
fair enough.
But I do. I mean, I'm gonna listen to this. I'm gonna check it out when it comes out on Friday. So, um, what? So with that in mind, and you said you're moving.
Yeah.
So what is? what is next in store for Clover?
Great question. Well, okay, so I I currently live in Providence, Rhode Island, and yeah, about like a year ago, probably like right after we put out Blue Dancers, I uh, just kind of hit this wall in my personal life where I was just like, I think I need like a huge change of pace. There's nothing wrong with like where I live. Like I love Providence, and I think like if there's like touring bands listening, like you should absolutely come play in Providence. I think it has like one of the best music scenes in the country. Uh, but yeah, I was just like, I think I need a change of pace, and I had been spending a lot of time out in Portland, Oregon, um, and yeah, decided to move out there.
Oh, that's quite a haul. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge move.
Yeah.
So, but what's next musically? Right now, I'm working on a film score for the director Joe Badon. Um, and I think I'm allowed to announce this, but I guess I'm just gonna announce it. I'm gonna be the touring keyboardist for the band Sister Wife Sex Strike on some upcoming tours. Um, but then after that, like uh, plan on not doing anything for a little bit. I think I need time to um, kind of like find my calling again. 'Cause
Right.
right now the idea of like starting another band is not terribly exciting to me, but uh, I can't imagine not working in music in some capacity.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd imagine like that kind of makes sense. You know, you've put a lot of time and effort into all your work, both Cheap City and solo and things like that. You
Yeah,
know, after a big move, you really do need to kind of reset in a new place. Portland's a good place for music too. You know, I have friends who live out there, like childhood friends, and you know they're all in bands. So, and, you
yeah.
know, it's like even if you don't want to start one, you're probably just gonna have end up in one or starting one because it's what you do, I guess.
I I've already gotten some offers to like join bands out there, and it's been very hard to. I am historically bad at saying no to things,
Oh yeah,
but I'm really proud of myself. I've been like, I think I need at least like a couple months to like settle in and like figure out what's going on.
nice, nice. Now, do you have a found family, people you know out there, friends, um, already in place that kind of help you like have a soft landing, or you just basically like crash landing in Portland and be like, here I am, people.
It's not that much of a crash landing. So I spent so much time in Portland over the past years that I was dating somebody. I was long distance dating another musician
Ooh, okay.
who I had like met on tour. So I was visiting her like quite a bit. And we're on good terms. So like I was actually on the phone with her right before this interview. We were talking about bands in Portland. Um, and just like from like 14 years of touring, like I have a lot of connections, so it's
Yeah.
not that much of just like a like total reset.
Hmm. It's just gonna be a bit wetter, right? I mean, it's wet up
Yeah,
there, isn't it? Yeah. Like
yeah,
I've seen Goonies, and that's close by, I think.
yeah.
Um,
I
yeah.
went once to the Oregon Film Museum, which is primarily just a big Goonies exhibit.
Yeah, I believe. Was it cool? Was it worth it?
um
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's in Astoria,
Yeah.
um which is like, I feel like if you're there, like it's worth checking out the museum, but I wouldn't like go there for the museum.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I know. Real hot takes about the Oregon Film Museum.
Yeah, you know, like right now, the Astoria, like whatever they call it. What do they call it with the people who try to get you to come there and visit? The tourist board is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
really pissed at this interview. They're like, "Fuck these guys," you know, like
Oh my.
he's talking trash about our film museum. He's calling it a Goonies museum. Well, it is a Goonies museum. There's nothing else in Astoria.
Okay, well, so when I played in Astoria, I was like, I played a solo show, and I was doing a thing where I was like, I was just singing over a backing track, and I was trying to do like a kind of like a dance party kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and truly like 30 seconds into my set, I accidentally like kicked a beer over. Um, and one of the waitresses like walked by and threw a bunch of towels at me. Um, and she was walking away. She was like, fucking ridiculous.
Oh my God.
And I was like, we're like in a dive bar. Like, is this the first time somebody's spilled a beer? So I only have good connections to Astoria.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds like it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So will you be doing the move first and then the tour, or will it be
Okay, I have this really fucked up schedule. So like the Cheap City is going on tour like in a week and a half.
Mhm.
And we'll actually be out in Portland. And I mean we're like it's all over the country. And then I'll be home for another like 4 weeks. And then I move, and then the that other tour starts like 3 weeks later.
Okay. Wow. That does seem pretty crazy. You're not gonna really get much done. Like,
Yeah, no, I know. Well, I've been like applying to jobs, and I'm like, so I can't start till August, and I'm also gonna be gone immediately. Can you please hire me? Because
yes.
I need health insurance.
I know it's the worst. Oh, jeez. It's like, you know, I don't know why this came up, but I was thinking of, like recently because I wrote something that was kind of like I realized could come off as kind of catty. Like I was talking about a band in the UK, and I can't remember who it is now. But I'm like, yeah, they're going on a proper tour. They're taking like 2 weeks on the road, and it's like because over in the UK, it's like everything's like a 5 hour drive from you. So it's like, yeah, let's just go out for a weekend, and then the next leg of the tour is going to be next weekend.
Oh
But
yeah,
then
yeah.
also they have like the NHS and all this stuff. So it's like when they do want and they get all this paid time off. So like when they do want to go on tour, it's like they don't have to worry about losing their jobs and things like that. So it's just like, man,
Yeah, what's that like?
this country sucks. It's just so tough. Um, so yeah, the your upcoming tour.
Mhm.
Uh, so where are you? You said you're gonna be across the country, all over, right?
Oh yeah, it's. I mean, the first two shows are in Philly and Baltimore, and then I mean, we're going through Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Ohio, the Dakotas. We'll be in the Northwest for a few days. Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas. I mean, we're going all over. It's
Cool.
a little over 3 weeks. So
Wow, that's a big one. That's a big
yeah,
one. Now you're not coming out to me over on the West Coast, are you?
no, unfortunately,
No.
you're in like near Oakland.
Yeah, we're in the Bay Area. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
we really wanted to, but there's kind of no way for us to like do the whole West Coast and like make it back without losing just so much money.
right. Yeah. There's a big stretch of nothing for a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
that distance, and it's
yeah,
like
it's
you get
planning
like most
purposes.
yeah like most people like start out here and then they just go down and then they do another part of the tour later. But
Right.
well,
Yeah.
well, yeah, definitely. Well, I think I think that should be pretty cool and a good time, and I hope you have a lot of fun. I saw you. So the first time I ever met you, you were on
Mhm.
tour, and what was that place called in Philly? Like Milk
The pharmacy.
the Pharmacy, yeah. And there's like that was the weirdest show because I was there just basically covered that Australian band Nerdlinger,
Yeah.
the Melodic Punks, and then Yinar was also there, and then you guys, and it was like three of the most completely like unconnected bands ever.
Yeah.
And I think I was the only person there who wasn't there to see someone in a band, like who didn't know someone in the band.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but that was a lot of fun. It was a great show, and I think I took fun pictures, and I met you, and I got introduced to Cheap Cities. That was a great time.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, that show, I was thinking about that earlier and I double checked because I keep an archive of like every show I've ever played,
mm,
which is like really helpful for these kind of conversations.
right.
Um, and that show was 3 months after this band started.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and which like in retrospect is crazy that we started this band and within 3 months we put out an album and did like a 2-week tour.
Yeah, like you guys were just that tour is basically just up and down the East Coast, right?
Yeah, I think. I mean, Philly might have been as far south as we went because I think on that tour we played in like Ohio, Michigan, and Canada.
Okay,
So I think it was a lot of kind of like Midwest Canadian dates.
right.
But yeah, I remember at that point, like two of us had been in another band together for like 7 years that had toured extensively. And yeah, I mean, like when that band kind of fell apart, we I can't speak for Paul, but like I felt like we lost a lot of time, like creative time. So I wanted to hit the ground running like as hard as we could.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I remember that show really well. It was really fun. Nerdlinger is a great band, and their was it their bassist who broke his foot like right before that show? Do you remember that?
Yeah. Like he
And
was all like limpy and
yeah, well, and do you remember? I might be getting the story wrong, but I remember him telling me that he's broken his foot on like 3 individual tours, and it's always because he like kicked a wall or something. I was just like, stop doing that. I guess.
it's I don't know, I didn't hear that part, but I would believe it. So yeah, so Scotty, he's a funny guy, and it's yeah, those guys are great. I still keep in touch with them. I still follow what's going on, and it's I keep telling my wife like we should move to Australia because apparently they got like a lot of good bands.
Oh yeah, the Australian scene seems
Yeah,
amazing.
I
Yeah.
know. It's like yeah, it would be a good time. Well, hey, yeah. So awesome! Thank you very much for stopping by and talking about the new album, reminiscing with me.
Yeah.
Cheap City Forever is the potentially final Cheap City album, unless they get back together for Riot Fest 2029 or something. And
Yeah, they already sent us an offer, but we're fighting them on
you're
it.
gonna hold off on that one.
Yeah.
So it's available for pre-order on Bandcamp on LP and CD, and of course, or cassette and the digital downloads, and it'll be up on streaming as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me, and we look forward to the new album.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me on. This was really fun.
Awesome. Cheers. Thanks.
Nice. Well, I wish her luck in Portland. That was an
it's
interview with Clover.
it's going to be quite the adventure. So it'll be interesting for her. So that will be, I think, about the end of our podcast today, unless Mike has anything else he wants to say to me.
Oh, we got one in the tank now, right?
Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah.
The only place we're going to go up from here.
We thank you, us who are going to listen to this after it goes live, because that's the only people. It's just me and you.
Yeah. It's going to take me back to our pandemic days of producing a 94-minute Zoom interview with the Lawrence Arms to put on YouTube so that you and I could watch it once.
Yep. Although I think that one did it do well? I don't remember.
The band shared it on their social media.
Yeah. They're all still there. Like, if anyone wants to go back to 5 years ago when Mike and Jeff were much younger, you can go to find That's Good Enough for Me on YouTube and see all of Mike's Who's Zooming Who video interviews, pandemic era interviews, of which I am in some of them.
Yes. And I have gained 1 pound a day since.
So once again, you can find all of our news at that'sgoodenoughforme.com. If you have anything music news related you'd like to share with us, be sure to send it to submissions at that'sgoodenoughforme.com. And if you have any other questions or things that aren't related to news that would end up on the site, you can also reach out to us at contact@that'sgoodenoughforme.com. Thank you very much. And Mike, it's been a pleasure being with you today. And Ed, who has left the room, thank you very much.
Sweet.
Okay,
Cheers.
That's it. All right. I thought you were going to say something.
Yeah, I don't know.
You started leaning in.
I'm not feeling very clever today.